Hello, everyone. I'm going to spend a couple minutes today multiplying numbers. I know you've been doing multiplication since elementary school, but just going to kind of combine it all into one day. It's part of the seventh grade core, but it might feel a little bit like a review. The purpose of doing this is kind of cement in your mind some things, but also just to kind of get you ready for some other things. So here we go. Because what's going to happen is real world numbers are going to get pretty messy. So as we've been talking up until now about numbers such as 5 times 4 or -3 times 6. Yeah, that's good to study what it means to multiply numbers. But it's about as yucky as writing can be. But now we're going to spend some time doing some other numbers, rational numbers, numbers that will show up in the real world. So let's start. Let's start with decimals. When you're multiplying with decimals, let's say you've got -3.2 times 18.914. Well, to work out one of those, we've got this nifty little process called the calculator. We're not going to do the long multiplication anymore. You can just type those numbers in and get your answer. If you're working on yours already, you're ahead of me. 18.914, and I get that equals a -60.5248. The hope is just that you know how to use a calculator. And in this instance, with the negative number, with these calculators, just make sure you know that you use the negative button to multiply. Don't use this minus sign when we're talking about a negative number. So I can show you some examples, but that's the pattern. That's the rule we're going to be using in decimals is type in the calculator. You can check and see with your estimating that we've done. Is that basically, let's see, that's basically 20. That's about 20, and that's about -3. So my answer should be about -60. Is it? Yes, you can check your work using some mental math. But in multiplying decimals, that's what we're looking at. Just simply multiplying the two numbers using a calculator. Well, what about when we are multiplying fractions? What if you have a number like 1/2 times 3/8? Do you remember how to multiply? Did your elementary teacher show you how to multiply fractions? The non-calculator way to multiply fractions is to multiply the two top numbers together and multiply the two bottom numbers together. Just multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 8 is 16. So when multiplying fractions, that's how we do that. Just go straight across. Let's say I've got -3/4 times 18/20. Well, it's the same pattern. Just multiply straight across. The -3 times 18, -54, and the -4 times 20 is 80. Our wonderful calculators that we have will reduce that for us. You can find what number goes into both of those. And if you're not sure, you can say, well, I know that 2 goes into both of them, so you can cut them both in half, get 27/40, and you know that works out. So when you typed it in, if you got that number, well, I got -54/80. Well, now you know that they're equal. When you're multiplying and a negative number shows up, let's say -1/2 times -4/7. When you're multiplying, that negative, just put that negative on one of the numbers. So I'm going to take the -1 and put it on the 1. So it's -1 times 4 over 2 times 7. Did that without even skipping the steps. So -1 times 4 is -4 over 14, and that reduces to, when you divide them both by 2, to -2/7. Now, yes, you can just use a calculator on these. And yes, on every assignment, on every test from now on, you're using calculators. But understand how that process works, please. Please understand when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. If you have -2 and 8/10, and you're timesing that by 3 1/4. Well, how do you multiply that? Yes, the calculator will do it, but I just need to make sure that you can see that you can, if you need, you can change these numbers to improper fractions. So if I start with the first number, you take the 10 times the -2, that's -20, and another 8 onto that is a -28/10. And then timesing that by, let's see, 4 times 3 is 12, and then add on another 1, gives you 13/4. And then when you multiply those two numbers straight across, you will get negative something over 40. And I don't know what that is, but when you type 28 times 13 into the calculator, it's negative 364 over 40. And your calculator will reduce it. And I've taught you the process to turn it into a mixed number. Just type math 1, enter, and you'll get negative 364 over 40. You'll get, when you type that in, the math 1, enter gives you a negative 9 1/10. You can see that's basically, we've got basically a negative 3 times 3. It's basically -9. So the mental math will help us out. But yes, you can use a calculator on these. Just know that it's not going to be nice, clean fractions or that nice, clean numbers that we're used to using. Okay, what if you've got a mix? What if you've got 4.25 times 3.5? Well, if you didn't have a calculator, you could change it so they're both written in the same format. You could change it so they're both decimals or so they're both fractions. And either way would work. You'd end up with 4 25/100 times 3.5, and then you can multiply it as fractions. Or you could change them both to decimals, and you'd have 4.25 times 3.5. Either way of working those out is still going to get you the same answer, which is going to be what? 4 times 3, it's going to be something around 12. 4.25 times 3.5. Either way, you get 14.875 with your calculator. So that's the concept behind multiplying decimals, fractions, or if you have to mix them up. Today's assignment will be more practice in accomplishing this. If you'd like to even have more practice or working through it, you can look at page 49 and 50 in the book. Those are where there's some problems, and you can look at the pages before those to see some examples, maybe another way to describe how to multiply rational numbers together. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this has made sense. And thank you so much for watching this